Okay, we're rolling.
Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about depersonalization, derealization disorder. I know that's a mouthful, but I promise I'll break it down and you'll completely understand it. So let's get started. Now, because this is a diagnosis, I'm going to read from my DSM-5, and that's what I'm picking up to show you, my handy-dandy DSM. Now, as always, the DSM is not the end-all be-all, but with regard to depersonalization, derealization disorder, it helps us better understand kind of what we're talking about. So I'm going to talk about first depersonalization, because I think it's important for us to describe and identify what each part of these are, because they're actually a little different. Now, depersonalization is experiences of unreality, detachment, or being an outside observer with respect to one's thoughts, feelings, sensations, body, or actions. So it's almost like when we're outside of our person. That's why I think this is important, because that's the depersonalization. So we feel completely disconnected from ourselves. Now, the second portion is derealization, and that is experiences of unreality or detachment with respect to surroundings. For example, individuals or objects are experienced as unreal, dreamlike, foggy, lifeless, or visually distorted. Now, the second diagnostic criteria is that during the depersonalization or derealization experiences, reality testing remains intact. And what that really means is that unlike the other dissociative disorders like dissociative amnesia or DID, that we actually know what's going on. We understand reality. We can still recognize what's happening. We just almost can't get out of the fog or can't connect with ourselves enough to do anything about it. Now, the third criteria, and as always, is that it, impairs our level of functioning. The fourth is that it's not attributable to a substance. So this can't be because we're high or drunk or whatever. And the last is that the disturbance is not better explained by another mental disorder, such as schizophrenia, panic disorder, major depressive disorder, acute stress disorder, or PTSD, or another dissociative disorder. So you can see that this is something that we're going to have to do what we call like a differential diagnosis to make sure that this is exactly what we're experiencing and struggling with. And so, because there are so many things that we need to go through, if you worry that you're struggling with this, please see a professional. Tell someone what's going on and see what's really happening so you can get the treatment and the help that you need and deserve. And I've talked about this before in the past. I have a video on dissociation if you want to click here, because in my experience, that's really what this is. We'll feel out of body, like depersonalization. We can't connect to ourselves, our feelings, our thoughts, or we feel disconnected from where we are. It feels like we're walking in a fog, or we're like walking really slow, everything's moving really slow. And I've heard a lot of this from many of my patients who have struggled through trauma. And that is honestly why I believe this exists. That's why I think this disorder is around and why people struggle with it, is because it's our brain's way of protecting us. It takes us out of our situation or our body so that we can survive. Many of my clients who struggle with dissociation or depersonalization and derealization don't have memories of certain chunks of their life, or they've only experienced the trauma as almost like an observer, because they're out of their own body and they're watching it. And it's really our brain's way of protecting us from the trauma so that we can continue on and survive through it. Now, a fascinating statistic that I found when I was doing research for this was that 50% of adults report having experienced at least one episode of depersonalization or derealization. So you're not alone. And also the mean ratio, they talk about ratios when it comes to genders, it happens equally between men and women. And also the mean age of onset is 16. So know that if you're younger or older, it happens kind of, in the teen years is when we'll first have our experience, and a lot of people go through it. So you're not alone. And there is treatment available. So let's talk about that. So when it comes to treatment, there are no medications that are specifically designed to treat depersonalization or derealization. But they talk a lot how this, so depersonalization and derealization co-occurs a lot with anxiety disorders. And so there's been a lot of studies that prove that anxiety medications may help with this. As well as, you guessed it, talk therapy. Hooray! Because this happens out of, as a result of trauma many times, or anxiety. talking through it with a therapist, finding out what your triggers are and helping to better manage those can really, really help. And something that I do with a lot of my clients when they struggle to stay present in a session is to use grounding techniques. And I talk about it in my dissociation video, but there are many things that you can do to help yourself in the moment, even in your everyday life. If you struggle to stay present at school or work, sometimes keeping silly putty or a tangle toy or something in your hands can help keep you grounded to where you are. Also, if you find yourself wanting to pull away, I have my clients count colors in the room. How many colors do you see? How many shades of blue? Because that makes you focus on different things in the room and pulls your focus to where you are instead of letting your brain take you away. So be patient with yourself. You can recover from depersonalization and derealization. It just takes working with the right therapist and a lot of trial and error. With many of my clients, we have to figure out what helps keep them grounded. It may work for someone else, but it may not work for you. Or what helps you process trauma best. There are so many ways to process through a trauma, whether it's EMDR or talk therapy, or many of the other versions that you have told me have helped you. So don't give up hope. It can and will get better. And please share this video. You never know who may be suffering in silence, and the more we talk about it, the more awareness we raise, the better. And please click here to subscribe if you're new to my channel, or if you're old and you haven't subscribed, click over here. And if you want more information on dissociation and dissociative disorders, click over here. And if you want to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to in my daily life, you can follow me all along there, and I will see you next time.